Alright, so like we kind of talked about in class today, we're going to work on the day 8 together. This one is going to take a little bit more time. I am going to take some off at the end, so if you haven't done it yet and you listen to the directions at the top, you're in luck because there's a lot on here and I want you guys to kind of understand it rather than rush through to get it done. So this is one of the harder things to do, I think. Probably the hardest thing of 5th grade is ordering fractions because there's so many steps to take. We're going to kind of work through it really slowly. If you were to Google like ordering fractions, a lot of them are going to say use fraction strips. That works, but drawing them and making them super precise and all of that, making sure you have all these different denominators, that gets a little more challenging. So if you have your fraction strips that we made at the beginning, those are helpful if you want to see another way to do it. On the first one, I'm just going to go in depth on one method to use. Once you start understanding it, it'll be much easier to see like how do you use how do you do this in your head. You don't have to write everything out and all of that. So we're going to look at number 1. I'm going to use a separate sheet of paper to show the work on, just so that it's not all over the place. If you want to do the same, you may. So if we look at number 1, the main thing is we're trying to go from smallest to largest. That means I need to put my littlest fraction on the left and my biggest fraction on the right. So they're just going to be in order. These are in an order, but not in any specific order. We want to put them in a specific order. We want the smallest to the largest. So the one method that will always, always, always work no matter what is you're going to look at your denominators. Denominators, remember, they are the bottom numbers. And you guys are going to do your favorite thing of listing the multiples of those numbers, okay? This is actually going to help us next year because next year we do a whole topic over what this is really about, but they put this in the 5th grade things to know instead, but that's okay. We'll be ahead next year. You're going to take all these numbers and you're going to list them. So I have a 2, I have a 10, I have a 4, and I have a 5. Now, we cannot compare fractions unless they have the same denominator. Now, these are all denominators. They're all different. We know how to find equivalent fractions, but we need to know what fraction am I trying to get to. I want to make sure it's a fraction that all of these can get into, because 2 does not go into 3, but 2 does go into 10. 2 does go into 4, but it doesn't go into 5. So the way to do this is these are your starting numbers. You're going to list your numbers until you see the same number in each row. Meaning, if I list my multiples of 2, I get a 4. Okay? I get a 6. I'm just skip counting by 2s. 8, 10. Now, if you look, I do have a 10 and I have a 10. This is where the method you use, you're going to find that works best for you. Sometimes in my head, I kind of multiply, okay, 2, that goes into certain things, that doesn't go into certain things. But an easy way to do it is just list multiples until you start seeing the same thing. If I list my multiples of 10, maybe I want to go to 20. There's really no exact stopping point. If you write too many numbers, it's okay. If you don't write enough numbers, you can always go back and add more. Now, the main thing I'm going to tell you guys is as soon as you get a number like 20, these other numbers are way smaller. So I need to start bringing these numbers up and seeing, can I get to other numbers? So I'm going to go away from 20 since it's so big. I'm going to go to 4. I'm going to skip count by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16. I don't see any similarities yet. Oh, I see a 20. So I have a 20 here. I have a 20 here. Let's see if I can get 20s in the other ones. Maybe that's my lucky number because 10's not on this one, so 10 doesn't work. That's the only other number. It can be 10, it can be 20, it can be more than that too. So let's see. If I go with my 5s, I get 5, 10, 15. I got a 20 here. So 20 seems to be lucky so far. It might not. I got to go back to my 2s and see, can I get to 20 from 2? So if I keep going, 12, 14, 16, 18, I got 20. Now, that's the hardest part right here, is figuring out what your new denominator would be. Okay? You're going to get to 20. That is your lucky number. That means that all of these fractions I need to put into 20ths. Now, try to use some different colors so you guys can see what I'm going to do. We know 20 is my lucky number. That needs to be my new denominator for all of these. So, what you're going to do is you're going to slowly go, and you're going to take your first fraction, is 1/2. Okay, 1/2, I need to make it equal to some amount of 20ths. if you're setting this up, I personally suggest write them all out so you know what you're exactly going to. My next number is 3/10. Maybe I want to put it right below. I want to get that one to 20ths as well. 1/4. I want to get that one to 20ths as well, and I also have 2/5. Now, the fractions I just wrote all come from the list, and my denominator of 20 comes from, they can all go into 20. As soon as they're all in 20ths, then they're really easy to compare. Now, the one thing we have to worry about is how do I get from one side to the next? Okay, now this is what we were just working on last week. We worked a little bit on today. You're going to start, you have both numbers on the bottom. You're going to say 2 is smaller. How do you get from 2 to 20? And we know that to get from 2 to 20, you're going to multiply by 10. 2 times 10 is 20. If I multiply the bottom by 10, I need to multiply the top by 10. 1 times 10. And you're going to also get 1 times 10 is 10. That means that 1/2 is the same thing as 10/20ths. That's my new fraction. 1/2 is kind of gone. Okay? Then on my next one, I'm going to say, how do I get from 10 to 20? 10 times what is 20? And if you do that in your head, you would get 10 times 2 is 20. If I multiply the bottom by 2, I need to multiply the numerator by 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Now, if you want to use different colors, sometimes it's easy to see like this step happened here, this is what it works. Go ahead. That's an easy way. I am doing it to kind of show you guys the different steps we're doing, and it works very well if you're someone that likes looking at things in color and seeing what's happening where. Same process. How do I get from 4 to 20? 4 times what is 20? And I should know that it is 5. And if I multiply my bottom by 5, I'm going to multiply my top by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. And my last one I have, 5 times what is 20? You're going to know that's 4. Then you do 2 times 4, which is 8. Now, if you're unsure of all these numbers in here, you've already done the work. So if I look at my first one, 2. 2 times 10, well, guess what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's the 10th number down. If you look at all these, that's the 2nd number down. That's the 5th number down. That's the 4th number down. That's an easy way to do it if you don't want to go through and do the multiplication again. You've already done all the work. All you're going to do now is count. It's up to you how you want to do it. Okay. Now you have all these numbers. They're all in 20ths. As long as the denominator is the same, now you can just find what's the smallest number. We're trying to find the smallest. My smallest numerator, I would say, is 5. So my smallest fraction is 5 over 20. And you can write it as 5 over 20. You could write it as 1/4 if you want. They are both correct. I typically just keep them in the new fraction because now I know that I can work easily with them if I'm going to do something else after. This is how we're going to be adding fractions, subtracting fractions. It's this method. So once we get there, it will be very easy once we understand ordering. So again, this is the hardest topic. It takes the most amount of work, but it's something that you should actually be applying yourself and trying hard on, going through the steps, watching the video. If you don't understand it, watch it again. If not, reach out and I can do another mini lesson with you. I am more than happy to do that because this is something that is so important to do. It just does take a lot of work. Okay, 5 over 20. Then I look at my next smallest. So that one's done. My next smallest number, 5, 6, 8, or 10, would be 6. That would be 6/20ths. That one's done. Now I have 8 or 10. Which number is smaller? 8 is smaller. 8/20ths. And then my last one would be 10/20ths. So that is your answer right there. If you wanted, you could write them as the actual numbers. So if I wanted to say, instead of 5/20ths, I want to write it what it started as, all I'm going to do is look directly across. 5/20ths is the same as 1/4. 6/20ths is the same as 3/10. I'm just looking straight across. 8/20ths is the same as 2/5. And 10/20ths is the same as 1/2. Now, if you were not to do any of this work, I would never have this answer thinking that that was correct. It is. It's because fractions mean different things. Some of your parents, when they went through school, they probably learned it where you're dividing and putting everything into decimals. That's how I learned it as well. But as we go through and kind of see the process of fractions, this is so helpful because this is how you add fractions. Okay, this is the same process you're going to use because now I could add these without doing any extra work, and that's what we're going to start doing after. Alright, so hopefully that one made a little bit of sense. If you're confused right now, I would say restart the video and watch it again. We're going to do another one, probably another two together. So let's look at we'll cross off number 2. We'll do every other. How about that? So let's look at number 3. I'm going to turn my page so that I can do some work for number 3. Now this one I'm going to kind of have you guys think about the steps, give you guys a little bit more pausing time to think. So this is number 3 we're working on. We're working with 1/4, 2/5, 2/3, and 5/10. So the first step we did last time, think back to what was it? Hopefully you thought that we looked at all of our denominators, 4, 5, 3, and 10. That's what you start with. You rewrite those numbers, and this is the hardest part right here. This is the part I don't like, but as much as I don't like it, it's very helpful for me. Now you have all those numbers, and now you're going to list the multiples until you find something that's the same, like we found 20 before. It's not always going to be 20. Right here we're going to notice it's not 20. So what you're going to do is you're going to start listing some multiples. Just add a couple in. I'm going to go ahead, go at your own pace, or if you want you can go with me at my pace. 4, I'm going to skip counting by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Okay, I got pretty high on that one. If you're going at a different pace, go ahead and pause it. You don't have to listen to me, but if you want to keep working with me at this, that's fine. 24 is pretty high. I can always add more later. I can take off some if I need to. So I'm going to go to 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. Now look, I got 20 again, so maybe that's my lucky number again. Then I'm going to go to 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Oh, I didn't get 20, so 20 is not going to work this time. 20 doesn't fit into 3. Okay, so I'm going to go to 10, and I'm going to say, okay, 20. 20 does not work. So I need to keep going. 20 is not in all of them. It's in 3 of them, so that's a start. We're getting closer, but I wanted it all of my fractions there. So I need it in all 4. So if I keep going, I'm going to add one more here. 30. Let's see, maybe 30 will work. So if we go back through, you can go in any order you want. Maybe I want to start at my 3s. Let's move this back a little bit so you guys can see. Okay, 3s. Keep going, 24, 27. Oh, I got a 30. Maybe it is 30. Okay? Now, this is the point where we can easily add on. That's what we're doing right now. If I need to take away, I could have easily taken away. Let's check 5. 20, skip count by 5s, 25. Oh, I got a 30. Hopefully 4 works. 4. Add by 4s, you would get 28. Then I would get a 32. Oh, that does not work. 30 is not going to work. So then I got to keep thinking, how can I get there? And this is going to happen sometimes. You're going to have these crazy numbers. That's why I want to do 3 with you guys. It's okay to keep doing this. You're not going to have more than like 20 numbers in a line, hopefully. On this one, we are going to go up a little bit, but we're getting closer. So if I keep going, I would go to 40. I want to keep going here. 33, 36, 39, 42. Oh, 40 is not going to work. So let me just keep going, get them all kind of on the same pace. 4, skip count by 4s, I would get 36, I would get 40, 44, 48, 52. Okay, so we're not doing so great here. We're going to keep going. I'm showing you some. They do sometimes they are hard, but it's what methods we need to use to compare them. So I'm going to keep going here. 50, 55, 60. Maybe I could count by 3s. I would get 45, 48, 51, 54, 57. Oh, I got a 60. I got a 60 here. I got a 60 here. If I count by 10s, I get 50. I get 60. So let's hope this 4 works. If not, we're going to be going on these long lists. For 4, if I add 4, I would get 56, and I would get 60. 60 is your lucky number. Now, a lot of work? Takes a long time, but is it a ton of work? Not necessarily. It's easy to do. You're skip counting by numbers, so it's possible. As soon as you have that, the easy part starts. Okay, so we know that our new denominator needs to be 60ths. Now, this is going to show you that some of these numbers might be so close. I need to put them into 60ths of pieces to compare one to the next. Alright, so like before, we started, we rewrote all of our original fractions. So I started with 1/4, and I know I need to get to my number I circled, which is 60ths. Hopefully this stops being blurry. Okay, I know I need to get to 60ths. That's my first one. My next number is 2/5, and I know I need to get to 60ths. My next number is 2/3, and again I need to get to 60ths. My next is 5/10, and again I need to get to 60ths. Now, like we talked about before, an easy method you might be able to use is if you don't want to find, okay, how do I get from 4 to 60? That's a hard one. I can easily just count down my list. So if I want to, I can go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I know that if I multiply this by 15, 4 times 15, I'm going to get 60. Okay? And if I do the same to the top, 1 times 15, I'm going to get 15. You just found an equivalent fraction for a very hard problem. 1/4 is 15 over 60. Okay? And then my next one, for 5, I don't know off the top of my head how I get from 5 to 60. Some of you probably do. Some of us might not. That's okay. You're going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So multiply by 12. Here, multiply this by 12. And 2 times 12, you are going to get 24. Now your 3s, you're going to be counting down a lot here. So start at 3 and count all the way down to 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I'm going to multiply by 20. You're going to do 2 times 20. When you do 2 times 20, you will get 40. In my last one, 10 to 60, you probably know it's 6 in your head, but if you want to keep the same method, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 6 times 6, and you would get 30. Now, some of you guys, if we were in school, I can guarantee some of you guys would turn this in without showing any work. So, what I do need you guys to make sure you're doing is show your work on these. If you have a different method you've used before, I want you to try this method, okay? Because this method is going to be very helpful for when we add and subtract. It's not always going to be the right thing, but for this, you need to try this method. So then you're going to find what's my smallest numerator. Your smallest numerator is 15. Your next one, you would get 24. Your next one, you would get 30. And your next one, you would get 40. So now you've put them in order from least to greatest. Those make them into crazy fractions. They're huge denominators, but now you can compare them easily by just looking at the top. Alright, let's try one more. Let's try, we said skip every other, right? Let's try number 5. Okay. I'm going to try number 5. Luckily, number 5 is not as hard. I think we just did the hardest one, so we did it together. That's okay. If I'm never going to give you a problem that it's not possible to do, so you're never probably going to go more than about 20 numbers down. We went 20 on that one. That was a pretty tricky one. Looking at the fractions, they don't look that tricky, but when you actually compare them, it does get trickier. So, first step, like we did before, you look at your denominators. Then you write your denominators. Now this one should not take you too long, so I want you guys to pause the video and actually list all of your multiples until you get to the same number. You might already see what the number is by just looking at this, but if not, list your multiples. So hopefully you have listed your multiples now. If not, make sure you pause your video and do it, because I'm just going to go through real quick. I'm not going to take my time going through it because that's something you were doing when you paused it. So if not, pause it real quick so you don't fall behind. You list your multiples: 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. If I do my 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, I got a 24 again, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, no 24 there. Alright, so I'm going to go in my 10s, 10, 20, I need to go higher than 20 because this does not have a 20 in it. I'm going to go to 30. Keep going on my 5s, I got a 30. I keep going on my 2s, 24, 26, 28, I got a 30. And on my 3s, we know we're going to get a 30, so 27, and you get 30. So your lucky number here is 30. That's what you're going to change them all into. So step number 2, rewrite them and make your common denominator 30. So 1/3 is how many 30ths? 1/2 is how many 30ths? 2/5 is how many 30ths? And 3/10 is how many 30ths? Okay, now you can either do it in your head or you can count down. Take a second, maybe pause the video and try it on your own. Hopefully you have paused it and found the answers. When you do it this way, you get 3 times 10 is 30, so 1 times 10 is 10. 2 times 15 is 30, so 1 times 15 is 15. 5 times 6 is 30, so 2 times 6 is 12. And 10 times 3 is 30, so 3 times 3 is 9. Now, you can easily put them from least to greatest. So if I was to do that, my lowest number is a 9, so I put 9 and make sure you put it over 30. My next number is a 10, 10 over 30. My next number is a 12 over 30, and my next number is a 15 over 30. And I think I forgot to on the last one, but you can always go back and put them in this form if you want to. It's not needed. It's actually, you're probably going to eventually put them back in this form, so it's easiest to just see in that method. But it's easy to see which they are before. Okay? So I know this is a little hard. That's okay. I want to go through which ones I want you guys to try, and then we're going to go over both of the ones that you have left when we start class on next week. I think it will be May 7th, hopefully, if I'm doing my math correct. So, if we look at the top, we did not do number 2. We did not do number 4. Let's do... We're not going to do number 6. This one you're going to go pretty far on, but you're going to try number 7. We're not going to do number 8. And I want to see if you guys catch on to this. We're going to go pretty far on this one too, but maybe you don't have to keep writing them. Maybe they're dealing with numbers that we've already worked with. So a little hint, if you actually watch this video to the end, you'll know that if I look at 7 and I look at 3, they have the exact same denominator. So that means my final answer is probably going to be in 60th. Little hit for you guys. And the same for number 9. They're the same as well. So I want you guys to work on 7 and 9. When you list your multiples, you may be listing a ton like we did. That's okay. Don't give up. Keep going through it. Once you list them once, you might not have to list them anymore because you'll already have them for other problems. Eventually, you're not going to have to list. You'll just know in your head what the common denominator is. But until we get to that point, we are going to list, and we're going to put them in this format. So I hope that made a little bit of sense to you. If you're still a little confused, that's okay. What I need you to do is try on 7 and 9. And make sure that you're trying your hardest. Bring it on next Thursday, the 7th, when we meet. and we'll go over any questions you have, okay? Have a great weekend, and after you guys do this, know that everything else is going to get much easier, okay? Make sure when you come to class you bring your work too, because that's how we're going to look at things. You don't want to have to redo it. So whatever you're doing your work on, I suggest using a separate sheet of paper, notebook paper, the back of a different shape, maybe the back of page 7 you want to use, that's fine. They will take up some space. So that is all for I have. So my main thing is work on day 8, and if you finish it, fly through it, go on other ones. But if you already did day 8 and you did not show any work, make sure you're going back and showing some work, okay? Have a great week, guys. Bye.